This book has some hot takes on how rich people think, some of which we flat out disagreed with. We have been reading this book together, How Rich People Think by Steve Siebold. And it has some interesting ideas, some of which we definitely did not agree with. We thought it'd be really fun to take all of the main ideas in this book and turn it into something fun, an interactive 12-question true-false quiz. So get your pen and paper ready. We'll discuss it as we go along, and we can't wait to hear what you think in the comments section.
This quiz is meant to get you thinking, not judging. So if you take some time out and just think about what we're talking about, let us know if you agree or disagree. And remember, Hope and I agreed with some of the points and disagreed vehemently with some of the other points.
But if you don't know us, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
This is Under the Median, where practical frugality meets real life. Just to give you a little background, Steve Siebold, the author of the book, spent 30 years interviewing millionaires and finding out what were they doing that made them wealthy. One of the things he found out was really it's not so much about what they did, it's about the way that they thought. It was about their mindset. So with that as background, let's jump into the quiz. Question number 1, true or false? Money is a powerful tool for doing good. Well, as it turns out, according to his research, Mr. Siebold says that the average mindset sees money as something that corrupts people. But millionaires, they see it as a tool, one that amplifies their values and expands their ability to help others.
Remember that money in the right hands can create jobs, change lives, and build businesses.
So here's our take. Money is neutral. Money is a means to an end. It's how you get from point A to point B, and you pay for all the things that you want and the things that you need. We really believe that money in and of itself is not what corrupts people. It's the use of money.
Right.
And it's the mindset that says, I want more and more and more money for myself, but I don't want to share or to enhance other people's lives. But having said that, I think that we have the ability to enhance other people's lives regardless of how much money we do or do not have.
If you think about any tool, let's say a hammer can be used to hammer a nail in and to build things, but it could also be used to destroy things. And in the same way, money can be used to do good or to bring down and do evil. So it's just a matter of how it's used, not that it in itself is evil.
This next one, Mr. Siebold did not make this point in the book, I'll be very clear, but this is something that people tend to think, and you tell us if it's true or false. Number 2, you need a college degree to be wealthy. Gosh, didn't we just take this on in our coffee chat recently? You do not necessarily need a college degree to be wealthy. We know lots of very wealthy people who have college degrees and some very wealthy people who do not have college degrees.
Our answer to this premise is false.
Look, college educations are great, but like everything else, there's a time and a place for them. And sometimes just getting real world experience and getting in there and doing what it is that you're passionate about, that will get you a lot farther than a college education would.
I have to think about Thomas Edison. He didn't have a lot of formal education. In fact, they had written him off because he could not be taught things in a classroom. And look at all the good that he did, all the things that he invented. Amazing life of diligence.
Question number 3, security is more important than opportunity. True or false? This one made us think because I think Larry and I as a couple, we tend to really say that anything that promotes stability, like a stable income, a stable job, that sort of thing is probably for us more important than opportunity.
But millionaires see it differently. They see opportunity as the way to growth, but they're very careful in what they do. They're very careful at their risk taking. So although they do take care, they go ahead and move toward the opportunity side.
Question number 4, I'll think about retirement when I make more money. True or false? That's definitely false. Look, I think you can apply this to everything. If I just had more money, I would be out of debt. If I just had more money, all my problems would be solved. If I just had more money, you fill in the blank. And I think retirement is definitely one of those blanks. You need to think about retirement long and hard when you are young as possible, and start working toward it then.
Exactly. That's exactly what millionaires do. They plan early and they don't wait for perfect opportunities.
Question number 5. If I work hard, I'll get rich. I think the whole idea, one of the things I think is prevalent with millionaires is they figure out how to get things done. And the whole definition of that doesn't necessarily involve doing the hard way.
Yeah, millionaires focus more on strategy, leverage, and value creation. So they are working pretty hard, but they're very careful at how they work.
Find a problem, solve it.
Yeah.
That is it. That is what they do. That's what the book talks about. I'll leave a link for the book, by the way, guys, in case you want to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description of the video. So yeah, find a problem that people have, figure out how to solve it, and you're going to make money. That's the whole idea. Question number 6. This is a statement that people tend to make, and we want to know if you think it's true or false. I can't afford that. Do millionaires tend to say, I can't afford that?
True or false? Now, Hope and I have worked on this statement for a great deal of time, especially in our recent years, because if we just say, I can't afford that, it automatically writes something off that you could be saving for and planning for. The fact that you can't afford it right now, right this minute, doesn't mean that you can't eventually buy it. It takes planning and strategy to get you to where you can purchase that item.
Don't you think that's just another way of saying, and we've said this like a lot on this channel, is the whole idea of I'm stuck? People who say I can't afford that, that's another way of them saying I'm stuck where I'm at and I can't move forward.
It's another way of saying I'm quitting and I'm not going to go any further with this. I'm not even going to try. That's kind of what it's saying.
We're going to say false.
Yeah.
All right, question number 7. True or false? The rich are just lucky. They were born into money. Statistically, that is not true. I know Dave Ramsey did a big study of millionaires, and I read his book that talked about the study. One of the top 5 people, different like jobs that people had that they became millionaires, one of the top 5 was teachers. And I would never, ever have expected that, because especially in the United States, our teachers are generally woefully underpaid for the amount of work that they do. So don't automatically assume that because someone is a millionaire that they didn't earn that money, that they inherited it. Because statistically, it was like huge percentage, like over 70-75% of the people from the Ramsey interviews with millionaires showed that millionaires had earned their money, they hadn't inherited it.
It had more to do with their drive and their focus than it did on any amount of money that they were given or they inherited.
You know, one of the top factors of whether you are going to become a millionaire or not, and this is consistent, spend less than you make. Live under your means. You've got Warren Buffett, who is like a bajillionaire. He still owns the same home that they bought at the very beginning, before he became a billionaire. They still own that same home. They still live in a middle-class neighborhood. And
he drives old cars.
He doesn't see the need to flash his wealth. We saw this when you worked downtown, and at one point Larry was a parking enforcement officer. And one of the richest guys in town had this really cruddy car. And he would park it out in front of his own business. And it was actually a no parking zone. So Larry's consistently ticketing this guy. And he's like, what is the deal with this guy? And they said, oh, he's one of the richest men in town. He just doesn't want to park it at a parking deck. He parks it in front of his own business.
He'd rather pay the ticket.
He pays the tickets. and the car was really crappy.
It was old. It was old, rusted. Yeah.
And so never judge people by the car. Every time I see an old car, I think, well, you just never know.
You don't. This is a really common one, okay? If I could just win the lottery, all my problems would be solved. True or false?
Well, first, to win the lottery, don't you have to play?
You have to play the lottery. So we're done right there.
You do not play the lottery.
Never have. I've never played the lottery. No. Now, let me say this about this particular statement. If you do a little research on people that have won the lottery, look at their lives 10 and 20 years later and see where they have ended up. It is amazing how many of them have failed miserably after they won millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars because they don't have any means of knowing how to handle it, how to work with it, and how to use it.
It's not what you make.
No.
It's how you use what you make, how
Right.
you handle that money. All right, remember, guys, as we go along, we want to hear from you in the comments section. We want the chatter going about these true-false statements. And if you're enjoying this quiz, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Will you?
We enjoy hearing from you because you always enlighten us and maybe show us even a different perspective that we haven't thought of.
That's all right. You can tell if you think we gave a true statement when it was a false statement. You just tell us about it in the comments section.
Yes.
Question number 9. Saving money is the best way to get rich. All right. I'm going to weigh in. Yeah. I think if you're going to get rich, you better be saving some money. But more than that, I think you better figure out what you're doing with the money that you're saving. I think that is the real clue to gaining wealth, is to figure out how to make that money continue working for you rather than just sticking it in a bank account or burying it in the backyard.
You'll find that they're good savers, but they also invest their money to get their money working for them and supplying a means to an end.
All right, this next one is fun. I hope everybody gets the same answer to this one. I really do.
Number 10, I already know everything I need to know about money, true or false. Well, I think we all can learn. A study shows that a lot of people stop learning after they get out of school. They quit reading, they quit researching, and they don't add to their knowledge base.
You know what the statistic is? I just looked it up. 33%. 1 in 3 Americans, once they don that cap and gown and they walk to pomp and circumstance and graduate from high school, they never read another book. 1 in 3. That is absolutely astounding to me. Millionaires, however, statistically read several books a month.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the exact statistic is. It's
It's
in the
quite a
Ramsey
bit.
study.
It's a lot of books.
6 books, 8 books. It was quite a few books every single month that
every
millionaires
month.
on average read every month.
So we're going to call that question false. Number 11, money proves you have status and success.
Gosh, I hope not. So this is an honest question. Give me your honest answer. Do you really care about status or success? I think the problem is if people care about status and success, they are defining status and success in a way that probably is pretty unhealthy. Because I think we have always seen ourselves as being pretty successful, even when we didn't have a lot of income. I think success is built on sort of a stair-step approach of not being content with where you're at. I think successful people always want to do better.
I always think of success as something that you can obtain when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So if you're successful at cooking hamburgers for McDonald's and you make the best hamburgers, you can do them quick and efficiently, that's success. And maybe other people wouldn't think of McDonald's as being a successful place to work at. But it all has to do with you and where your particular goals are and what is right for you.
And so that's interesting. One of the things we've always told our kids is if you have a job as a janitor, you do the best job they've ever seen at cleaning those floors. Because those are the people that get better jobs, who move forward, who get advancements, whether it's with the company they're currently with or the company that they want eventually to move to. So I think that word success, that just... I don't think that a lot of people would necessarily define success in the way that we would define success. And I think that is probably part of the problem.
So we would say false on this one, that money does not prove that you have status or you're successful.
Number 12, saving money is more important than earning more money. I'll say it again. Saving money is more important than earning more money. True or false? Now, this might sound a lot like an earlier question that we had, but really our approach to this one is much different.
Yeah, before we talk about whether saving alone can make you rich or not, this time we're digging into the mindset of what's more important, saving money or earning more. Well, if you're earning a lot of money and you're not saving it, what good is it doing you?
We have always been huge proponents of living beneath your means. That, to be honest, was how we got from where we were 2 months after we got married, which was flat broke in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, spending more than we had. And our combined savings was what we had in our wallets or our pockets or between the couch cushions. That's where we were, guys. And building savings did not come from earning more money. Now, there's a time and a place where you need to earn some more money. We're not saying that may not be the case, but you have to live where you're at. And once you learn to do that, then any extra money that comes in, you're able to continue saving at a much faster rate. That is what we would say, though.
The people that Hope talked about that are in the group of the most millionaires are school teachers. And we know that school teachers don't make a lot of money, but they are doing some things with it that are very important. They're saving it and they're investing it. So they're making what they make work for them.
Saving money and living debt-free. That was the combination that gave us choices on our income that nobody else on our income had. And there were many, many people that he worked with that made 3 times our income that did not have the choices that we had because they were in debt and living paycheck to paycheck. He saw countless people that left where he was working and said, I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't have enough money to pay next month's mortgage or next month's rent. Live within your means.
I was talking to one of the lieutenants at work, and he asked me if we owned the house that we just purchased. And I mentioned that we had paid cash for it, and he couldn't believe it, especially on my income. He said most of the people in his income had not been able to pay cash for their homes. So it's all what you do with your money more than it is how much you make.
All right, so what has helped you more? Earning more or saving more? Tell us in the comments section. So now you know all about the millionaire mindset, and we can't wait to hear how many of these mindsets that you have. Let us know in the comments which questions sparked the most interest for you.
If you like this quiz, we have another one for you. It's called the Are You Average quiz.
It walks through the spending habits of the average American, and you can compare whether you're average or whether you're above average. The Are You Average quiz, it's another fun one. It's right over there.
So our answer in this one is false.
Did you like it?
Yeah.